Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Conversations. I am your host, Nikki Csek, and I am, as always, very excited to have our guest in studio. In studio with me, I have Kathryn Kriitmaa of Felt Sense Counselling, and we are going to be talking about boundaries.
Yes, my favorite.
And you see a beautiful Okanagan behind us on the green screen, but when we look out, it is a rainy, dreary,
gray
day.
Yes.
So let's talk about boundaries.
Great start.
Okay, what do we need to do? What do we do wrong? What can we do better?
Okay, so before we even talk about boundaries, because I know that's really why we're here, but we need to talk about values before we talk about boundaries.
Okay. So we're making banana bread.
Yeah.
We need ingredients of values.
Yes.
Before we start figuring out quantity of boundaries.
100%.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so values are like the guiding principles that help you define like what is really important to you. Okay. So when you get really clear on what your values are, setting boundaries becomes way easier because you're actually attuned to like what is true for you rather than what everybody else wants of you and what you think they want of you.
So if I put that into marketing speak, I'm always coaching people in understanding what their brand is. When they understand their brand values, when something comes at them that is a marketing opportunity, a volunteer opportunity, a hiring opportunity, they check that to their brand values and it is either a match or not.
Totally.
Okay, so if I do the homework and the audience does the homework or you work with someone to do the homework about getting really clear with what my personal values,
absolutely,
life values,
spiritual values, family, work.
So list those. And then that is the beginning of setting boundaries.
Yes.
Brilliant.
You got it. So there are three questions that you can, there are many questions you can ask yourself, but here are three to help you figure out what your values are, because values can just be this term that we throw around, even in like corporate speak. And it's like, okay, yeah, we're all curious. We're all collaborative. We're all kind.
Inclusive. We're all,
yeah. But like those become just words. So here are three questions.
Ooh,
so
love it.
Yes.
Ready.
So the first question you can ask yourself is, what are the stories that inspire you? So like when you're Netflixing or binging or reading, listening to music, that kind of thing, what are the things that you're drawn to? What are those values that you want to embody more of?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think?
That's interesting. Okay, so for my husband, he's always watching the sports movies. They're down, they're under, they're not going to make it. There's no way they can win. Yeah. And then they inspire and they level up and all of a sudden they take the field and they win something.
Yes.
So and that's how fast we think, right? For me, I'm like Netflix series, The Witcher. Wait a minute. Magic doesn't exist. What do I do?
Okay, so creativity and fantasy and like, I don't know what is sparked in you when you're watching The Witcher? Is it escape? Maybe you like distraction. Maybe you need to travel more. Maybe you need to be like, what is in The Witcher
that's fascinating.
Interesting to you?
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so what are the stories that each of us individually, personally, are watching, or when we go to the movie theater and watch, what's the movie you just said?
No. What did I say?
Feelings. Something.
Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2.
Yeah, so I really want to go see Inside Out 2, which I haven't seen, and as a therapist, I really should have seen it by now, but it's all about feelings. So that is one of my values. Like, I really value vulnerability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the stories that inspire us? That's a great question. And we can sit with that over a cup of coffee.
Yes.
And a beautiful, beautiful sunrise morning this weekend that we are going to have. We are going to have this. It. Okay. Hit us. Second question.
Okay. So second question is, what were the most meaningful moments in your life? So they are usually filled with a great sense of purpose. So what were the values you were living in those moments? So like for me, when I was 20, I worked at Tokyo Disneyland, and it was like I was a singer-dancer, and it was incredible. I was young. I was being creative. I was living abroad. I was traveling. I was working with people from all over the world and getting to know myself.
Amazing.
Yeah. What about you?
I got nothing. Seriously, the first thing I thought of was, and I think a lot of moms will do this. You go, oh my gosh, the fact that my children, our children, chose us to be their parents. Oh, I get all emotional. So
I love that.
The most meaningful moments in certainly in my life is my family.
Okay, so what are family values that are important to you?
Respect, teamwork, like all leaning in to make the family thrive and more cohesive. And
okay, so that sounds like connection and belonging to me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
This is not supposed to be a therapy session for me. This is helping teach people and ask questions, but I'll be the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
I think it's really helpful for people to actually see the questions in action, which is why I'm asking you, because otherwise we don't really know where to start. Anyway, so the third question is, what are your biggest accomplishments? So look at the moments that you're most proud of. How were you acting? How were you behaving? What were you living in those moments?
Yeah. Oh, I have lots of answers already.
Okay, let's hear one.
So that's, and again, it's probably because it's fairly relevant or timely. We're going to be hosting an AI conference on September 27th, bringing community leaders together to really understand what's sitting at the precipice, at the front of the doorstep of what could be for their future of their companies and their organizations. But as I rearview mirror check that, we brought in 2019 8 incredible speakers to talk to the business community or the community at large about the values of leadership and being better today than we were yesterday, and how important it is to lead, whether that be family, community, volunteer, business, whatever, political, wherever you are leading. By example, at being kind in the grocery store, whatever it is in leading anything, how to be better. Oh my gosh, Kathryn, to this day, I still hear from businesses that say it was significantly impactful and changed the trajectory of their business in those chairs, in that moment, in that day. Amazing. So when you have biggest accomplishments, that is, it is one of my many prideful things that is a legacy or a gift to the community that I am ever so proud of as an accomplishment.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That sounds like service. Like service could be, I don't know if that's the right word for you, but like serving.
Which is interesting because I talk about or coach or mentor or speak about service in that way. We serve, and I think we have an obligation, we have an obligation to community and society and family and each other to be of service, to serve, to make better. And that would be a check mark for you.
You know what your values are. You're aligned.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go through this exercise of asking ourselves. You've given us 3. I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that there's numerous questions we can ask ourselves. But we go through this exercise. We ask ourselves some value questions, and that begins to give us a list of things. Then what do we do with those to try and create boundaries?
Great question.
Okay, here we go.
So the big takeaway there, right, is that when you become aligned with your values, doors start to open up so that you can become unapologetically you. And the way that you do that is with boundaries. So think of so if values are like your North Star,
okay,
like keeping you on course.
Okay.
Boundaries are like the guardrails that keep you on track.
Values are the North Star. Mm-hmm. Boundaries are the guardrail. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So boundaries are really about, they're the guardrails that help you define what your limits are and how you're going to engage with people. So it's not about, oh, I want somebody to do something or I'm going to try and get them to do something. It's about, here's the situation and here's what I'm going to do about it.
Oh, that's a different dress. That's a different dress.
Mm-hmm.
Say that again.
Yeah. So boundaries aren't about, I need you or I'm going to get you to do something in order for me to be happier, for my needs to get met. It's, here's what the situation is and here's what I'm going to do in this situation when it comes up.
That's kind of powerful. And it is actually quite black and white.
Yeah. Yeah. When you ask, when you use that as like a directive, all the other stuff just kind of falls away and it asks you to really get in touch with what is my need and how do I want to interact with people, and I'm going to teach people how to treat me.
That's some really good work you do.
Yeah, you seem like you're very receptive to this idea.
As I'm playing through scenarios of things just today, yesterday, this morning, that's interesting. And it's interesting because I think I find it so interesting because I think we travel towards things as, oh, if only so-and-so would,
mm-hmm.
if you know, I'm going to, if only Jim would take out the garbage. So it's interesting that it's not about them. Sorry, dear. 30 years.
Hi, Jim.
So that's not the right, maybe most helpful to ourselves position at the table to take. Mm-hmm. It's more about, looks like the garbage man's not going to have garbage to pick up at our house today.
And that really sucks.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and that sucks that the garbage is going to get picked up. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So speaking of Jim, the people in your life are going to have feelings when you set boundaries. They're going to have feelings about it. They might not like your boundaries, and that is totally okay because they are not used to you having them. But you can, what I really want you to know is that you can still be like very sensitive to other people, but also stand up for yourself at the same time. Because when you don't set boundaries, really what that leads to is self-abandonment and self-sacrifice. And that leads to resentment. Mm-hmm. And resentment is like a killer. It's totally toxic to your own personal health and to healthy relationships.
Okay. So that's through the lane of personal, but I believe that this boundary discussion that we're having, you have the ability to transfer this into all areas. So if we take this question set through values through business, then you begin to be able to establish boundaries as it relates to job, or work.
Yeah.
And then those are those sets of boundaries because they're different.
Absolutely.
But then I even think of so again, serve on a number of boards and there's boundaries to be had there too. Mm-hmm. And there's different value sets and questions that are related to the work on or for that particular board.
Yes, you totally get it.
I think I get it.
You get it. Yeah. Okay, so how do we set the boundary? I don't even know. I'm just jumping ahead because people are like, okay, well, what do we do? How do we do it? So there's like a very simple formula.
Okay.
This is like a beginner's formula. Okay. So boundaries boundaries can get more fulsome.
Okay.
But this is very simply, this is what you would say. I feel blank. I need blank. And then you're going to state the outcome.
Of what the result will be if that is adhered to.
If the boundary is crossed, this is what I'm going to do.
Ooh, consequence. Okay.
This is a hard one for people.
It is.
And I think consequence sometimes has it's kind of got like a negative thing. Like it's almost
Which
like
I look at it positive.
Oh, amazing.
Consequences can be both detrimental and negative, but they can be ever so positive.
That's right. Like they're not a punishment.
No.
Love it.
Huh. Okay. Questions determine your values in all aspects of your life. Use that to set your boundaries. And then these sentences are going to verbalize and articulate to those around you what you feel and what you need. And then the zinger, we close with the consequences.
Well, okay,
Okay.
No, hold on. Yes, those are the 3 steps. And then what I think you want to finish with is like some appreciation.
Oh, I'm not very good at that
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Okay, so let me give you an example. We'll do the work one just because you had just brought that up. So when we do work, so I feel like my personal time isn't valued when you ask me to take work home after work
That's
hours.
a good one. Yep.
I need to honor and protect my personal time for my overall health and wellness.
Can't argue with that.
Right? And then you're going to state the outcome. When I'm asked to take home work or do work on a Saturday, I'm not going to be able to do that. I will get back to you on Monday morning. Thank you so much for asking me. That I feel really valued that like you think that I'm the one to be able to help you. I'm just not able to do it at this moment.
That was magic.
I'm so glad.
Because it didn't even sound sarcastic or unauthentic. It sounded authentic. You actually genuinely stated, I can't, you were sitting here with a problem and you thought of me that I could help and solve it. And oh my gosh, Monday 9 to 5, I'm your girl, but not when it impedes my weekend or my boundary.
Yeah, because my limits are work is for work and family time is sacred, or off time is sacred.
For the record, I do not ask people in my team to work extra, but I love the example.
Yeah.
I love the example.
Okay.
Add plus ingredient plus appreciation.
Yeah, that really goes a long way because it invites people to empathize with you and it invites like connection. And also here's the thing to remember. When you say no to something, you are not rejecting the person. You are just saying no to the request. Other people have the right to ask and you have the right to say no. And like when you are saying no to something, you are really saying yes to something else. And that is usually yourself.
So many nuggets in here. I don't even know how we're going to cut this up and put the individual pieces out. I think it was absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
Kathryn, I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this morning spending time with you.
I feel the same.
I'm not overly open, but thank you for using me as an example through this. I think it's been amazing, and I do hope others will see value in it and will reach out to you to spend some time so they can get you.
You know what?
How can people find you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. I just actually remembered. I have a free it's a beautiful guide. It's like a 15-page guide on values and boundaries, and it's on my website.
Good. Go get it.
Yeah, so you can find me on my website.
It.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And your website address is?
Yes. So it's the name of my practice. So it's feltsensecounseling.com.
Kathryn, thank you so much.
You're so
Appreciated
welcome.
it. Have a great day, folks.
You too.